Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. We'll jump into the queue here and go watch a game. I know Uncle Ben is a viewer, and so we may as well watch his game. He often comments on the videos to say something. I don't remember what in particular, like if he has a lot of strategy advice for me or what. Anyway, it doesn't super matter. What's going on in this game? I am kind of surprised that everyone has so few drones. I wouldn't have guessed you could get a Matrix here. Like, yeah, Hellhounds are good. I mean, I don't know, I guess, you know, you can spend all your tech with 10 drones if you buy Hound, even if you do have double blue, so maybe it's not the number of drones that surprises me so much as that no one has 2 forges yet. So maybe they'll get there. I guess there's just not enough damage yet, but it's gonna be hard to actually do like in anytime soon, isn't it? Maybe not. Yeah, it is. How do you ever have $5 to spare for a forge is my question. I don't know if holding that drone was strictly necessary. Is the opponent really going to be able to attack for everything? They don't want to spend all their red on perf clicks. Maybe Uncle Ben will be the one who has the time to buy a second forge because he has that Rhino expiring. Ugh. No. Yeah, I guess Uncle Ben just doesn't have much in the way of attackers. Number 1 has more of those. As well as like more soak lying around and those perforators. But the perforators really aren't doing anything. He bought them, I guess, a long time ago, and they've mostly just sat there and threatened. They're not really doing any defense work, and well, okay, now they finally get to defend. Good work. Yeah. What? No! Put that back! No! Ah! You don't need more red, you need more blue. If you need anything. Wouldn't a Matrix be insane? Clicking perfs, you're gonna have to hold them next turn anyway, aren't you? Oh man. Okay, I guess he clicked them all. I guess that is a possible play. I don't know. I think if we'd gotten down a Matrix, we could have shut down the main advantage that opponent has, i.e. having more attackers, by gaining more absorb instead. Oh well, we'll never know. Agamemnon, jeez, I thought he died in the Trojan War. I don't think I've played against this person before. Okay, so there's like a lot of red stuff. Something to evaluate is like, is Venge Cannon any good here? There's Synthesizer to help you get more of them, and like also Gaussite, although then you'd kind of have red, which you don't want. There's not really a lot of soak to make Venge Cannon be bad, nor is there much absorb. So the main thing would be like, actually I think botches and ferals, which might not be so bad against Venge, right? Because you can pressure them so they don't get to build very many Venges, and then you have like ferals and these guys, Enervies, to defend for long enough to chip through the Venges. So I'm inclined to think that red-green is better than Vengeance here. And then the question is, what's better than red-green? Is Windsor better than red-green? It might be. But, I mean, I guess... With Synth, you don't need to buy 2 blue to get Windsor, and that's a big help. And there's like a green sink, so... The quest, like, I don't know. Yeah, and there's a Nervy to let you, like, survive while you wait for your Windsor clicks. Survive against the onslaught of red-green stuff. But, jeez, I hate that I have to make a decision about this. Opponent's not going third NG, which I think you would want to for, well, no. Windsor probably doesn't third NG when Synth is on the table. I think I just pick up a conduit here and go like DA into red stuff. It's kind of boring, and I think that something synth-ish may work better, but I'm not creative enough to put it all together, I think. I mean, also Enervy is just pretty good against Windsor because, well, is it? If you build the Enervies too early, they can hold the Windsor. But if they keep holding the Windsor forever, like, maybe that's fine. It's probably not fine, in fact. You probably can't build preemptive Enervies if you can't get any use out of them, because them holding the Windsor and letting your Enervies die is just too good. But, you know, they can't have just Windsor. They need to have some other stuff. And you can use your Enervies against that if they don't ever click the Windsor. So I think that's probably fine. So I assume they're building a synth here? Right? Like, that's the blue thing you most want. And I still don't know if they're going into Venges or Windsor. I don't know if... Yeah, both is not a thing, because they both compete for your drones. So... I feel like against Venges, I'm going to be okay with Ferals and Enervies. And maybe Botches. Probably Botches. Windsor, I'm less clear on. And I could be wrong about the Venges too, but at least I have a plan. I think I do start with Tarsiers here, though. Like, it's nice to force them to wall. But they don't really want to build a splitter either. Actually, I should build a botch here, because they might want another synth. And this way that's awkward for them. But if I'm building a botch, like, and green is great, why don't I just do this? Because then, yeah, next turn, I want to like get to 3 attack the next turn, and like after Gaussite, that would be botch, which I don't really want to do. This way I can Gaussite next turn. Or I could Endotherm Kit, depending on which direction they go. That's a thought. What would Endotherm Kit be good against? Probably Windsor, right? Okay, so maybe that's my counter to them trying to build a Windsor. I mean, I'll have to survive the first Windsor shot, but I think I can live through one. they're gonna try to do that. Right, this is clearly Windsor. And so they're gonna get their first Windsor before my endotherm, right? Which means maybe it's a little too early. What if I got a Gaussite instead to build up more green and a Venge Cannon? And then 2 turns from now, I can buy my my endotherm kit. Now I'm attacking for 2, 3, 4, 5, which means they can't just Windsor, right? They have to like force field already, which is kind of nice. I could even have made this 2 botches instead, but I want green more than I want. Oh, they're getting endotherm kit instead. They're getting endotherm kit first before the Windsor. I didn't think of that. Okay. Maybe I made them do that because they didn't want a force field? Oh, they couldn't! They couldn't Windsor force field. They don't have the tech for it because Windsor is costing 4 green and that's what they had. Alright, well they're going for something extremely slow. Especially if they try to actually Windsor here. So I'm just, if they Windsor, I feel like that's so slow that I can just kill them first. If they're like trying to time endotherm into Windsor. So I'm gonna just try to kill them. Do I need all this green to do that? Yeah, I want to Venge up so that I have something left when they're done Windsoring me. So, like, I think I should be building more Venges here, right? Like, there's no way I'm gonna survive what they're, you know, this turn. I'm not gonna prevent a breach, right? So I just go in for this and push harder to get through to drones soon. Maybe, yeah. I'm also thinking about, like, clicking the symbiotes, right? So maybe I shouldn't get this Venge. Just get another conduit. And then I'm earning 5. I can click a bunch of symbiotes next turn. Or I can Venge everything 2 turns from now and probably also click symbiotes. This seems better. It's not as much immediate pressure. But that's sort of okay. I could also build Brooders, but I think that's a little bit slow. Alright, I want 2 turns from now to have at least 12 green, probably more. If I can add like 5 and then 7 or something, I'll have some spare green to click symbiotes even. This is not the direction I planned for this game to go in, but opponent went for something so greedy. That I kind of felt like I didn't have much choice. I'm actually, I think, gonna click my botch here. No, it doesn't do any damage. This is an exploit anyway. I was thinking I don't mind if they kill these NGs because I'm about to stop caring about defense. But since it doesn't do any damage, what's the point? I might as well prevent these NGs from dying. Okay, so next turn I'll have how much green? 6? I can venge my last drones, click a symbiote, and still have quite a lot going on. Sounds good. Is there some reason I should not venge everything up now? I don't think there is. I mean, I would have $9 more next turn, I guess. But what would I build with it? Nothing. I've already got everything I want. I mean, I would build a Gauss cannon. Clearly the extra damage is worth more than that. Build a frostbite? Probably. It's probably better than an engineer. Being able to freeze a wall is like pretty cool. I think you should absorb onto a wall, buddy. Yeah. You know, my venges aren't going to do all that much, I guess. Because I can't click them with only one conduit. Or I can't click them often, anyway. But it's still a lot of damage, and they don't have many drones. Right? And, like, even if they get to click Windsor one more time, what, they kill a Venge Cannon? Who cares? And that's all their drones gone. So, yeah, we win this one. Do I click the frostbite? I'm not sure. Alright, we win though. As predicted. So, a weird game. You don't often go red breach proof, but I kind of did that here. Red into breach proof, I guess. I think the main lesson from this game is something that I think I've talked about before, but not very often, is that, like... So, like, Endotherm Windsor kind of looks like a combo, right? You buy the Endotherm, and then next turn you buy the Windsor, and you have this, like, overwhelming attack on the next turn. Like, that's pretty cool, isn't it? You even see, like... Well, what if Comet were in the set, right? You could buy Endotherm, and then Windsor, and then Comet, and hit them for like 1,000 damage all at once. Isn't that amazing? How could they live, right? That's kind of like a thing people want to do when you see units like this. And on paper, it is good. Like, if your opponent never builds anything, that's very powerful. But you do have an opponent at the table, right? And generally they can undercut you by just going for a weaker thing. Like, suppose that, like, those are good units in the set, right? Endotherm, Windsor, and Comet. If you buy the Endotherm kit, your opponent can say, oh, Okay, well, I guess I can't build the whole combo, but I'll just build Windsor and then Comet. Like, what are you gonna do? I'm suddenly hitting before you, and your big timing will suck. Or, you know, if you buy the Windsor planning to buy Comet, your opponent can, like, Comet you, or something like that. The point is, like, you have to be very obvious about, like, the thing you're setting up, and it's so slow that your opponent can set up a counter timing. So I think that, like, Windsor Endotherm Kit is, like, usually not all that great. And also it's extremely slow. So here, my counter was not actually to do, like, the same thing but faster. Rather, it was to do something that doesn't care about this. To say, alright, you invested a ton in your Endotherm Kit. I'll just build no defenders all game. You know, enjoy freezing those 2 engineers. Not the direction you usually go with when you get red, and so I think my opponent was probably, like, surprised. Although I feel like when I bought this Venge Cannon, he maybe should have given up on the plan, but what are you gonna do, right? Look at this tech. You kind of have to build Windsor, or maybe Venge. But I think at least cutting the Endotherm Kit, when I'm sort of like, I'm showing that it's possible to go Breach Proof if I need to. By adding extra green, by building 1 Venge. So I think that this would be a good sign that my opponent should back out and, like, just maybe go Venges against me, right? You have a synth. You know, you have this, like, blue and red that isn't great, but you could, you know, you have a wall. That's pretty cool. I don't know, maybe you just build walls and Frostbites? No. Frostbites have the same problem Endotherm does. Maybe you just build walls and Gaussites like I did, and, you know, oh well, they get breached eventually. At least you have a bunch of green. I don't know. That might be what I would do, but obviously, like, it's kind of what I did anyway, and so saying, gosh, maybe my opponent could have tried X, where, like, X is the thing that I did and won the game. Like, it's not that insightful. Yeah. So, I don't know about this Frostbite. Like, it could have been an engineer instead. Or a drone. I could have floated for hours, and then when he finally finishes attacking me, right? Like, because my engineers are actually still alive because he keeps freezing them. I could have made this a drone. Very funny. Waited until my opponent is out of attackers and then build a drone. That way I would guaranteed scale to infinity. Funny game. Would I have done better to build something other than symbiotes with all my red? I think not. Green was really, really important. I used every drop of it, right? I wish I had more. So maybe this Botch and Tarsier could have been a symbiote as well. I mean, I don't know. I guess I emptied the symbiote supply. So you could say, why are you worrying about how to build more of them? Well, because building one sooner would have been worth a lot of green, eventually. And then I could have clicked more of them at the end, right? If I had started the symbiote train a turn earlier, then by this turn, this symbiote would have harvested 4 green. And like, okay, on this turn, I can't build a symbiote anymore. Maybe I build Tarsiers? Oh man. Golden Tarsiers? I think that might actually be playable, right? Because they'll be invincible on the turn my opponent Windsors me, right? That's too funny. Huh. And so, like, the main reason that I didn't build Symbiote early, I talked about, was that I wanted to be able to easily get up to more than 2 attack on my second turn. But actually, Venge Cannon gets me there, right? I didn't really consider the possibility of building a Venge Cannon. until I saw my opponent setting up for Windsor and said, boy, doesn't this make things awkward for him. So it would have been less actual like attack pressure to have built. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been less pressure if I built the Symbiote instead of these two attackers, right? But not a lot less. Because the botch was sort of wasted anyway. He only attacked, what, twice? Yeah. So if I built the Symbiote first, I have 4 more green, but 2 less attack. And then I can build those Tarsiers. That 4 more green is a Symbiote click. I think that would be better. So let's just quickly look at like the actual turn I had. What's my pressure turn here, right? I'm attacking, well, first I attack for 12, right? But on the next turn I'm threatening. God, I want to get through this guy's defense phase. Okay, so I was threatening 21. He had to click some charges, but okay, 21 was the number. Suppose that instead I take this alternate line. By the way, that makes this conduit look bad. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten the conduit at all. I was thinking for ferals, like that's just a natural direction to go and green is good, but maybe I should have gotten my animus down even faster? I don't know. That seems a little bit too fast, but okay. Let's try this line where I get the Gaussite instead. Opponent gets their animus and a wall, and I don't know, I think they probably built a drone, because I know they had this for defense, so. Now I can build these guys and a drone. Now though, opponent, I don't know. They could buy a Windsor at this stage because I'm not pressuring as much, right? They could skip the endotherm kit. Which would be better, I think. Because it takes away my time to go breach proof. But on the other hand, I'm going breach proof a little bit faster with more symbiotes, so maybe it's okay. But let's imagine that opponent continues doing what they did in the actual game. Except like they don't need a wall anymore, so I don't know. It's a little hard. So maybe this is the wrong idea. I don't know. I guess what I want to do is like, I still want to look at this, and I'm just gonna not change my opponent's line, even though the line is kind of silly against what I did. In fact, let's just not play my opponent's turns at all. That would be simpler, wouldn't it? I just wanted to see what impact this has on my economy. Hang on, did I do this right? Yeah. Right, Venge Cannon. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, I can build a second Venge? Probably. Well, we built this. I don't know if this is really telling me much. I've also somehow managed to build more drones, I think. So I only got 5 Venges in the game. And right now I have enough drones for 5 Venges plus a drone. How did that happen? Because I added a Gauss cannon at some point. I see. I did like this. And then I piled on the Venges. And now I have... I have so much green that I could go breach proof a turn early if I wanted. right? In the game, the turn that I had all my symbiotes was the turn I needed to go breach proof. But I built them a turn early, which means opponent's stuff still has a 2 timer on it, not a 1. So I can actually like do something else. The problem is, like, what exactly do I do with my green? If I click my symbiotes, I don't have enough green next turn, right? Maybe I click 1. I'll still have 7 green next turn. And I get a Gauss Cannon. Now I have 6 green next turn, and I'm good. But I'm only clicking 1 symbiote still, so I don't know. This didn't actually do all that much. It might have been easier to see the impact if I were playing opponent's turns. Oh well. Okay, so that's like, I don't know. That's a change I could have made, and I'm not really sure if it was better or worse. Other changes that might have been relevant include, like, when I bought my Venges. Oh, and also this conduit? I guess in the analysis I could have built another conduit at some point to have more green. Yeah, I think when I built my Venges was fine. Okay, yeah, and I mean against this, like, just getting all your Venges is winning, even though it was kind of weird to have an Animus when you have nothing but Venges. It was the way to get there. Because the symbiotes let me apply pressure while also accumulating green. Although, like, did they? I mean, obviously, yes, but the thing about symbiote is, like, suppose you pretend that symbiote is a Tarsier, a fast Tarsier and a conduit, right? You're kind of paying 4 and a red for a fast Tarsier. Well, 4 and 2 red for a fast Tarsier. The upside is, like, you can click it and it doesn't die off eventually like a Grimbotch would. But, like, what if I'd just been building botches and conduits, right? The symbiotes are good because you can click them, and I only really got to click 1. Right? All of the symbiotes after the first could have just been botches and conduits. I'd be floating red, but I don't know. Like, I guess that's just worse because symbiotes have 2 health anyway, and they don't die off, so they're like... The only downside that symbiote has compared to botch is that you can't... It's not a blocker. You can't choose to defend with it. But the only turn when I want to defend is the one when opponent is breaching, and on that turn they're killing symbiotes voluntarily. So I guess they're better than botches. But like, then they have slightly less health than conduits, and they have a lot less health than botch plus conduit, right? That's the reason I was thinking botch plus conduit might be good. Is that it's sort of like a symbiote with 5 health. Kind of. It might have only 3 health if opponent chooses not to kill the botch and kills the conduit instead, but like, hey, then the botch lives. As long as they don't have any botches on 1 lifespan. That's sort of fine. So that might have been better, because my Venge Cannons were a lot weaker without the support of more conduits. So maybe I did build too many symbiotes kind of ambitiously, thinking I could click many of them. Whereas really only 1 was enough. It just feels so bad to build botch, conduit, and float red. when Symbiote is in the set. But I think this might be a situation where that could be a good idea. Oh well, I don't know. We've thought about this enough. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.